I mean, part of me is also thinking maybe C9 really just understanding that it's do or die time. And you know what, whether we show our hand too early or not, we're going to play our hand no matter what. We're just going to stick with what we came in as kind of our do or die card if we're in that elimination phase.
One thing I'd like to mention is that the Pugna got a buff in terms of Decrify level 1. The Decrify level 1 is a lot better in with this patch. And it could be also something that the hero runs more into a support position, potentially.
I was just
or you could distract the opponent by thinking that it's a core, but in the end it just doesn't end up being there.
I was just going to ask that. So the rule usually is when you have a hero that's picked first in the draft, it has to be something that can fill multiple roles. So I was just going to ask you guys, if you had to bet right now, if Pugna is not going to be mid, played by Fata, do you think that they're going to go like a 4-role Pugna? Or do you think that we might see maybe an off-lane, maybe a Bone 7 Pugna and an aggro try?
I would not assume it's going to be a Pugna mid. I would rather like to see it as more of a carry role.
Yeah, most of the times that we've seen Pugna, it's usually paired with an Undying. I would say, like a couple of the European teams run it.
But that is impossible.
It's really good, actually. The combo with Tombstone, where you decree the Tombstone, is actually very strong. Yeah.
Well, of course, this time not going to be able to see that combo coming out. We'll see what else they have.
I like it in the later stages of the game when, for instance, we saw in Texas 2 weeks ago how Fnatic would enter high ground with a DK and just stand from the low ground. Like, the DK would just run into the enemy base, stand, tank a tower, tank 5 heroes, and Pugna would stand on low ground and just channel HP to the Dragon Knight. And
the total Team Fortress 2 medic. Yeah, that was absolutely awesome with Mushi on that DK.
Invictus Gaming
banning out mech heroes for Cloud9.
Yeah, there you go.
And heroes that are generally good against Pugna as well. Viper and Shadow Fiend, both heroes that, first of all, take down the ward incredibly fast, and Viper especially doesn't really struggle against ward. Nether ward does nothing against it. It's, you know, Decrip is annoying to some extent.
The ward did get changed though, right? You need a certain amount of hits, not it doesn't have HP.
Right.
Is it 4 hits, 5 hits?
Correct.
I believe 4.
I believe it's 4.
All right.
It's like the it and the Visage Familiars got changed.
Right.
It's a mechanic.
Well, regardless, still just taking them out, especially if that ward, I mean, I think the second point still stands, right? It's not going to do too much against that Viper, so why not just take it out, and so that IG will have to deal with that Pugna in-game rather than...
I really like this Lesrek ban coming out from IG, just because, as you were saying, if this turns into a push strategy, Lesrek is actually still incredibly strong, and there are no counters to it once you've already picked up the Pugna on the Lesrek side of things.
I agree with that, but we're going to need it. I think we're coming to the most important part of the draft, because I think whatever side has the advantage in terms of the aggression or supports, exactly as you guys were discussing earlier.
And Cloud9 kind of have to commit with the push pick in the next, because Co-op doesn't really fit it. So it's like what, Lone Druid, Shadow Shaman.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like with the third pick, we'll know whether or not this is sort of an all-in push strategy, or if Cloud9 is just have a different game plan in mind, where they're reverting into feeling secure and fighting 5-on-5. Being able to delay the game until their late game is sufficiently strong.
Well, so if you're IG, do you wait to see that they're pick, or do you just kind of assume they're going to go with the push?
I mean, you can take the push away from them, which
that's a really good pick.
Chen being picked up by IG.
Yeah. Not only taking away from No-Tail, but also, you know, Chen is a better deep pusher too than you might think.
It strengthens your early game a lot. And you kind of are on a ticker where the 2 heroes Pugna as well as Queen of Pain is not the best scaling combo towards the late game.
Yeah, no, that's the problem that they ran into last game, right? That the game was going later and later, and their Queen of Pain was just not scaling that well.
I'm not a particularly big fan of Chen against the 2 picks that Cloud9 already has, but I can see it as a counter pick that can easily bolster your early game, and then later on in the game, Chen is actually incredibly strong again, especially if he gets up that Aghanim Scepter, goes out, gets the big golem, 15% extra HP to everything around you. It's a thing of beauty, and then he can of course send allies home.
Right.
Nifty little thing as well.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people forget about. A reason that Chen is. I think this is. Do you think they go Drow now?
The thing is, Drow Visage is not as strong anymore, just because the Familiars do not work anymore with the aura without activation.
I feel like when you have Pugna, Chen, like when you want to push and you have the Pugna against the Chen really doesn't offer much. The creeps goes down fairly fast, I feel. Like, being a Chen player myself, I have a hard time, you know, 2 Nether Blasts and my creeps already needs to either Fountain or use my heal on it. So
as well as the ward is a problem.
But it becomes like a Deathball lineup, doesn't it? Where your Chen can actually put pressure on other parts of the map as well?
not when they want to start utilizing. If we assume that this is a draw ranger strategy, when you want to start utilizing your push ability, Chen still doesn't have much to offer. There's no way he has an Aghanim Scepter. He might have a mechanism if that's what he's going for, but even then, if he's the primary support in your lineup, it's incredibly difficult to be of much use against a ball that goes in with a ton of AoE.
Yeah, how about that?
All right, well, still up to IG to round out their lineup so far. And as we've been mentioning, it seems like they should be able to figure out kind of what C9's strategy is here, or at least what idea their number one priority is. Of course, we don't know if they have anything else up their sleeve. They already surprised us once with that Pugna being picked up.
I do wonder if it is a throw-off, though. The way they picked, when you pick up a Pugna first, your first expectation is going to be a core, for sure. Or with Dekri has some sort of save mechanism, but now we see a fourth pick Tidehunter. We haven't seen Tide in a long time.
I mean, and I think this is one of the reasons why Evil Geniuses might not like playing against Cloud9, because you really don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, they did explain that. What is going on, guys? I mean,
I'm a little bit lost in this draft.
what are we looking at?
Like,
we were so talkative before, and now in this draft, we're just getting thrown curveballs left and right.
this is obviously a predetermined pick because they almost went for it instant.
Yeah.
But normally I would, I'd hold out for it once I see that Rubik pick up. I don't feel like Tidehunter is particularly good against Rubik.
Oh, I mean, no. In fact, Rubik is classically viewed as one of the counters.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a very difficult C9 lineup to play. I feel like you have to hit the window for this lineup really precisely.
I mean, it has great team fight though, and as we saw,
sure.
IG they love to group up, they love to take towers early, and they're really precise in when they like to time it. And with this amount of AoE with Queen of Pain, Pugna, and Tidehunter, it's very, very difficult to push into it.
It's going to be so hard taking down the Bristleback. Once, like, even in the later stages of the game, there's a Chen heal to help him. There's a Rubik aura. He's not going to take any damage from anything they have so far.
Well, they still have that one last pick.
I'm still wondering if that Pugna is a core position or not.
I think it is. At this point in time, it's
Isn't that kind of all any though?
Maybe, is that what it takes, though?
Wouldn't they? I mean, this Tidehunter pick just threw me off entirely.
Yeah,
wouldn't
me
they? If they were going for a draw strat, wouldn't they have done it already?
Yes. No,
But
they,
you could
they,
still
they
pick
know
a
something
core.
that we don't.
You could still pick a core for Envy here and just
Like Terrorblade.
And IG expected a bounty hunter pick. Right?
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, they went straight for that ban, actually, not wasting
So
too
they
much time.
expect Pugna core.
or it could have been the throw of Pugna, first pick.
I think Klinks is really good here
Links
against the
Klinks.
Chen.
Wow. You still have.
Okay.
I mean,
does work.
Clinks gives you
I can see it.
basically no disable apart from Ravage and Bird Drop.
You have sufficient slow though. You have the Shadow Strike, the visits, and the Pugna. The Crypt works well. I don't know.
Does
Gosh.
Pugna have any synergy with his lineup? I'm still like,
Yeah.
No, not that I can see.
I mean, so it is a tanky push
And-
lineup. I think.
And I think you were right, by the way. I think this is going to be a 4 Pugna. It's gonna. This will be an E Razor more likely.
it almost has to, right? I don't see where else you would.
Yeah, I mean, we've been racking our brains this whole time, but with that Razor being locked in at the very end, seems like the conclusion is there. But again, I think the ultimate conclusion is clearly C9 has an idea that we have no thought of. We really don't know what they're planning, but they came in very clear. They picked those right away, so I can't wait to get right into the game. I'm sure you guys are in the same position, so the casters, please take it away and show us if C9 can take it back in game number 2.
It's going to be an interesting game number 2 indeed, Syndrin. I'm not sure about this draft, but I'm hoping your expert analysis will kind of show us the way here.
I have no idea what's going on.
That is perfect.
So what makes me nervous here is that I've seen this situation in multiple tournaments where Cloud9 are in an elimination match. They lose either, they get behind and they have to either win 2 in a row or win a deciding game 3. And they pull out something completely, like, they just really think outside the box. And sometimes their theory crafting is great. Other times it completely falls to the ground. We've seen some last pick Terrorblades that really haven't worked. They were the team that even tried to run support Tinker on one occasion. That was not successful, let's be honest. And I'm looking at their heroes. I actually think their lineup has pretty decent synergy in how they combine around the 15-20 minute mark, but it just seems like it's a very narrow timing window where their lineup has to get so much work done, and they cannot afford to lose the lanes either. So they need to play really well this game.
Yeah, I guess one of the biggest things that I liked about the Cloud9 draft is the fact that we didn't know where this was going. That even towards the bitter end there, where we had our last bands out and just waiting for that last pick from Cloud9, we still weren't sure, was that Pugna actually going to be a core or was it going to be support? Was Cloud9 going to run some sort of all-in? I mean, they even still had the Drone Ranger Visage combination potentially open to them, though it seemed very unlikely. I mean, there were so many things that could have changed basically everything in the draft with that last pick for Cloud9, and that feels like a very distinct strategic advantage. Now, I feel like IG drafted very well against it. They left themselves with basically a strong, well-rounded lineup through and through. You've got a nice carry Bristleback. You've got some Gyrocopter carry in there as well. Chen, Clockwork. It feels like these kind of heroes are just kind of all strong throughout the mid and late game. So no matter what Cloud9 throw at them, they'd be ready, essentially, with the last pick.
Yeah, and with Tron on this Chen, he will probably be able to do almost what he wants right now. It's going to be a dual lane off lane by the looks of it from Cloud9 with Bone 7 and No-Tail. With a tied Visage lane, I think this lane has very limited kill potential, and you could probably just play this as a flat 2-on-2 with Gyro Rubik and just jungle the Chen really fast and just play on economy, get those key items up on the Chen early, especially a mech is absolutely incredible against Cloud9's lineup. So AoE-centric once again.
Now, with this very interesting draft from Cloud9, we also have some really interesting laning decisions as well. IG have chosen to put Bristleback in the middle lane, which isn't unheard of, which means Fada's going to be playing the Queen of Pain against it. You already mentioned the dual lane, which they are going on Burning right now, but as you said, they don't seem to have too much kill potential. You have a Gush as well as a potential slow from Grave Chill, but not enough to kill Burning outright. How do you see this laning phase shaping up? Who does it favor and where?
I just think Cloud9 are going to get more out of it because of the Chen. And if you look top, you've got double range Razor and Pugna. But Eternal Envy has lost so much mana now. Okay, he has a Mango and Clarity, so he's probably going to be okay. I think Luo is going to get enough in this laning stage so that both him and Chuan will be satisfied. And then the bot lane is, for me, at best for Cloud9 is probably a draw.
Right. Even though Luo probably won't die in this lane, at the very least, Eternal Envy can keep him pretty down on CS in just a 1 versus 1 matchup, which does leave our Chen to do one of two things. You can either farm up kind of exclusively on IG's side, or you can potentially go for a lot of aggressive ganking. Which choice do we really have here for Chuan?
Well, if they don't need help bottom, I think he should just jungle really fast. As far as ganking mid, ganking Quap together with Bristle is very, very difficult. He would have to include Rubik in that gank more or less, and that would be very obvious when Cloud9 are playing a dual lane bottom. That rotation they will definitely spot out, as we actually have it right here with Invis. So if you're Chen, you probably just farm as this is a really great play from Misery. He's been waiting for this for an eternity, but he's still not gonna get it, actually. Oh my god. He waited there for like 45 seconds and only gets one attack in. That's... And
there was so much on that courier too. It was not just Bottle. It was Bottle plus the wand, plus the completed magic wand, and now Ferrari is still sitting in a really good position. He hasn't blown any of his shared tangos, which has just been passed over by Faith. So he's going to be able to do, it seems, very well in CS in this middle lane, where he's already trying to contest the Quap. 9-0. This will get better over time, obviously. It's the Bristleback spamming out both the Quill Sprays, but actually it's going to be the Warpath, which will allow him to have a big increase in damage. Luo is aggressively fighting up and actually does trap Misery inside the cogs with him. Unfortunately for him, Luo's only got the right clicks available and won't actually be able to go for the kill on Misery due to the lack of mana for Battery Assault. Bottom lane. Yeah, they managed to get the stun. No-Tail's going to end up falling here. The Anchor Smash isn't enough to be able to stop the damage, and IG Faith walks away with that first blood.
IG are just getting so much out of their side lanes. They're willingly sacrificing Bristleback a bit here, not helping him too much with Chen. Chen could go in and harass Fata with a creep to give Bristleback a good laning stage. But what they get instead is they get a kill on bottom, and Luo is essentially winning top lane 1-on-2. He has got 10 CS minute 3. Both of the dire heroes in this top lane are very low on health and mana. He has definitely got the job done right now.
Yeah, you know, and despite the fact that I said I thought Ferrari was going to be able to do quite well in this middle lane, I forgot this is a position which I think Fada excels at the most as a mid laner. He's one of those mid laners. Remember back in the day when we were comparing him to like S4 and the aggressive play style between the two of them and how it was so fun to watch the two of them? I think Fada is the current mid laner who takes the best opportunity out of these matchups that are favorable to him. He's a Queen of Pain versus a melee hero. He knows how to push that advantage.
There's one, are there actually two other players that come to mind together with him, but I would definitely put him up there. And that's actually the guy he's playing against, Ferrari.
Yep.
As well as G for VP. I think he has really been able to play. He is one of the most fearsome laners to play against in that mid lane, and has been a great part of VP's success going so far into the top 4 of this tournament, of course, after beating Alliance. So definitely some really top tier mid laners we're seeing in this tournament. And you're right, Fata is looking good in the mid lane. Once again, what is the trade-off? I still think IG are getting more out of this so far, and something needs to happen on other lanes.
Yeah, and it doesn't really feel like Misery's rotation is going to be what changes up the course of this bottom lane. He's a level 2 Pugna. I don't really see this being successful, but they're going to go for the dive on Burning anyway, it seems like. Perhaps with that Decrepify, increase of damage is obviously going to pair really well with the Soul Assumption if they can actually get that coupling nuke. Unfortunately, they do spot him out Faith with the rotation over, sees Misery, and despite the aggressive warding from Misery, he won't be able to find an opening to get a kill.
Something has to happen here. There are 4 heroes down here. Minute 5. This is such a big investment. It's actually giving Ferrari 2 free waves mid, this rotation from Fata. Now, I don't think they saw his rotation, but they're going to realize now. Like, it's becoming incredibly obvious that this is happening since Ferrari's just like, okay, I just cleared a wave mid. I have no opponent here. They're definitely bottom. Just look at IG. They're just standing back. They're getting Bone 7 a bit of farm for this, trading it for the mid lane. That is so not worth it.
Yeah, and also the next time
works out.
Yeah, the next time they make that kind of rotation, they'll have Luo to deal with, who's about to pick up his level 6. Now, looks like they've found Chuan here leading. There goes, oh, that actually didn't do any damage whatsoever. Chuan is still going to have some issues, though, as Fada makes a turnaround and will be able to get the last hits. Misery drops quite low. The Hellbear Smasher, can you actually get that smash? It's got just the same exact movement speed of Misery, so he will be able to get himself away. Haystron on the side. Hellbear Smasher is now going to try and take that one out before Fada can get there, but unfortunately, our hero in red will eventually die.
So they do get something out of it. That was a long chase just to kill a Chen, but at the end of the day, probably worth it here for Cloud9. So they also, of course, get his Ursa, like you said, they secure the bottom rune and get maybe a little bit more of a grip on the map.
Now, Razor's a very mid-game oriented hero. How much pressure do you need to push on him to stop his current free farming? You know he's getting a lot in this top lane. Actually, maybe a little bit less than I expected, as he's only 33 and 12. But either way, he's facing up against a melee hero, should do very well. Do you leave him be and try and focus on the rest of Cloud9, or do you want an aggressive rotation from IG to help the clock work out?
I think as long as you farm your cores, it's okay. The Razor is really good against Bristle, but they have the tools to counterplay him. They can telekinesis him and throw him away. They have power cogs, which are really good against and with Razor for that matter.
Yeah.
Just to try and zone him out. So I do believe they can let Envy farm in this particular game as long as they get the right initiation angle. But the one thing that could catch them by surprise is if Bone 7 gets a fast, I think Blink Dagger in this game is the way to go for Tide. They need to find a way of forcing fights and taking them on their terms after he gets the Arcanes down, which I can definitely get behind for pushing this tower. That should be the way to go, so that way they can set up Envy and Fata to get a really big combo.
Some rockets coming in, as well as the ultimate from Burning to try and clean up this creep wave, and does do pretty successfully. Meanwhile, IG also have an Ancient stack, which Ferrari has been doing for himself, and obviously Bristleback. One of the big advantages of him as a mid is being able to have the physical damage to clear through a stack like that.
He's going to get level 9.5 from this, I think. Oh, it did not stack again, though. He pulled it a little bit too early here. Mistiming that. Does, of course, get the rune at the perfect timing, but no Ancients there. Is that a triple or a quad stack? I think that's a triple, right?
A triquadle?
I think that's a triple, right? It's double dragons and 1 times golems, I believe. So he could have definitely stacked that one more time with a little better timing.
Ferrari also has an Invis rune sitting there in the middle lane. Fada, his haste rune does pop and was hoping to find an opening with it. But again, IG are pretty much like abandoning that bottom lane, it seems, half the time. They still have okay amount of farm on the Gyrocopter, it seems. 33 and 18 compared to like the top laner 49 and 19 on Eternal Envy. So the comparison between the two is not that drastic considering how much pressure Cloud9 are putting on
Envy is so much in trouble.
Yep, with Diverting coming in, dropping the ultimate as well as that Clockwork Hook. They quickly kill him, so I guess that kind of answers it. With all the pressure at that bottom lane, they do make an aggressive rotation at top, and it seems like they're just going to keep burning up here until Cloud9 rotate to try and address him.
And one thing that's happening right now is even though they're denying burning a little bit of farm, this Clock is getting a lot of gold as well. And he is not a hero you should underestimate. I feel like if you have a Clockwork and he gets his first big item really early, and by big item that could also be, let's say, a Blade Mail, for example, let's count that as a big item. His first core item is so impactful when he gets it very early on in the game. And Luo at this point is definitely looking to get that pretty fast, probably before the tides blink. And that means at that point in time, he will have a higher teamfight impact, most likely, in addition to, of course, his 2-level advantage from having the solo lane. So they're trading a bit of farm for some more fighting potential. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's okay too. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned the Blade Mail because I was going to suggest with an early Blade Mail, it feels like it's pretty strong this game. I mean, going into a Razor, first of all, is not the best position for Clockwork, but with the Blade Mail, you're able to kind of disrupt him until the BKB is up. Eternal Envy won't really be able to turn around too much damage onto the Clockwork when he's initiated on. You've got a lot of uncontrollable damage, I guess, that I'm looking at. Between the Eye of the Storm, you've got the Queen of Pain and her variety of AoE, and then you've got some very squishy supports on the side of Cloud9 who can actually output a good amount of damage, which obviously the Blade Mail can sort of counteract. So do you feel Blade Mail is the item here, or is something else the specialty for Luo?
I think it's between that and a Force Staff. Okay. Force is very good for resetting, getting away from the Razor for one of their cores. It's a good way of getting out of Ravage. Even Hookshot engaging and then being able to reset and re-go is also very nice for the Clock. So I would say one of those two items. To me, most games, it's just one of those two items that is the best first one. Yeah. He can consider a Glimmer Cape in this game too, because of the nature of the magic burst Cloud9 are running. And it would actually be really powerful for him to get that for his Bristleback in particular, so Ferrari can really go in with confidence. But it still doesn't solve the problem of the static link, which I think they have to address one way or the other as well. So
yeah, and that's kind of why I like your idea of the Force Staff, solely because you've got two cores that are addressed really easily. I mean, you mentioned the Bristleback, but the Gyrocopter has a hard time with Razor as well, simply because his damage, especially with Flat Cannon, that early amount of damage is such a necessity for the Gyrocopter, and if he's having that leached away by the Razor, he really becomes much less of an impact.
Yeah, he's building some ability himself, though, getting phase and drums, as it looks for Burning, so might just flat out be able to outrun Envy in fights, who went by for treads. So it's pretty easy to create a little bit of gap between yourself and Razor, unless you're caught by either Grave Chill, Decrepify, or of course the Ravage, or even the Gush, which we of course have early this game on Tide because of the lane they ran.
Oh, Luo runs into Bone 7 here. He's looking for a hook shot onto Misery, and oh, there goes the ward already out.
Nice
actually misses that one with the Familiars blocking the hook shot, the Ravage going off. A heavy amount of commitment, but they do manage to get the kill and get out. A big favor for Cloud9, especially the experience that rolls in with that kill. I was going to mention that the supports running so aggressive in this bottom lane did mean they're dropping a bit low in levels, but the addition of that kill helps out quite a bit.
It is so crucial for Misery to get involved. In my book, a Lola... Oh,
yeah, Burning's dead.
Oh, he might get a kill. No.
Yeah, he was hoping to be able to turn that one around. Nice familiar play once again, which will be able to stop Faith, it seems, as just a little bit closer. He could have actually gotten that Scream of Pain, so might have been that stun actually saved Misery's life there. But again, a good play from Cloud9, and they're leading up right now in kills, but they also seem to be doing quite well in farm, despite the fact that there is the Chen on the side of IG and usually play, static laning phases, usually play to the advantage of a team with a jungler. That isn't the case here. They're okay in experience, but Cloud9 holding on to almost a 2K experience or gold lead.
Yeah, No Tail did really, really well that fight. The familiar drops were perfect. I think the commitment of Ravage there was the right play as well when Clockwork ran in beforehand, and the fact that Burning comes in to try to farm that, maybe a little bit greedy. He felt like, okay, they used the Ravage, they're niffed, there's no way they stay here, but they actually did, and they get a bonus kill. And I was going to mention, it's so important that Misery gets involved, because I think support Pugna with no items just goes super weak against this Radiant lineup mid-late game. They don't have very high mana costs, so the ward is not going to be that great. and he can't commit in to cast his spells if he has no health at all into this lineup. They're just going to kill him like in a blink of an eye. So he needs to get something. He's gone for a bracer. I'm curious to see if this is going to be a drum build for Misery or if he just casually tanks up a bit.
Ferrari, who's already got the Vanguard, presumably building into the eventual Crimson Guard, has got a lot of value here, right? Especially against that Razor.
It is really good against Razor. It's good against the...
A little bit of pushback.
It's definitely... Crimson Guard for Ferrari here is the choice. Great against the birds, great against Razor. I believe, I am not 100%, so how was it was with the spells that used to be reduced by damage block got removed, right?
Yeah, you're going to talk about Eye of the Storm and how it used to be damage block, correct?
And Anchor Smash as well. But
yeah,
I think they don't get blocked by Stout anymore. That was like changed because it was really counterintuitive. I think all of those spells that were blocked by Stout now go fully through, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Definitely Anchor Smash. I believe Eye of the Storm as well.
Okay.
Cloud9, ooh, this is a very aggressive play. I'm loving this one. Early smoke up and going for Roshan, but look what Luo's doing. He's sitting here, and I believe he knows exactly what's going on.
They have the mech on Tide, which is probably their go call. There is, of course, a mech on Chen as well, but I don't know if they're going to be able to make this on time. I think Luo will be looking for a play.
He's got the hook shot jumping. Oh no! A Familiars, and now he's stuck up on the cliff to Eternal Envy's mercy, and we know Iizama has no mercy. Now he pushes back the rest of IG. Cloud9 still looking to take that Roshan, though. It's at 1,500. I love what Cloud9 are doing here. No rush to try and finish up Roshan. They're telling IG, if you want this fight, you can go ahead and have it. You're 4 versus 5 right now. Unfortunately, the Chen creeps are going to start pushing them back. There goes the heal in order to make sure those creeps do stay alive, and they kill the Nether Ward. Now Cloud9 are being pushed farther and farther down that river. Look at Fada's positioning, though. There goes the ultimate. Ravage as well being popped. Ferrari right in the middle of the book. There goes Fada from behind. He takes out 2 supports and almost gets burning as well, but now he has to run himself ahead of that Raga Barrage. The rest of Cloud9 starts swarming in, though. Bone 7 looking for the gush. Slows down Ferrari instead. Burning on the side, trying to get away from Fada, but the man finds him again. Fada hoping to be able to get out. I'll blink up in a second, and he still gets away. Fada with the plays. IG, though, the rocket finishes him off. Luo in the middle of 4, though. He plays a very dangerous game. Is he going to be able to get away from it? The last right clips are there. IG lose another, and Ferrari playing some games with the rest of Cloud9. They have a high number of quill stacks, and they will back themselves up entirely. They're going to TP home instead of trying to go back to Roshan.
Cloud9 doing a really good job at just spreading out and kiting that fight correctly, and Fata finding that initiation angle that they were definitely not ready for, getting in from the back with the Sonic Wave there. Really big play from him, and
that was really good communication.
If nothing else for IG, they did not lose Roche.
True.
So they managed to hold that, and the question is if they can claim it themselves before Ravage is up, because their Roche lineup isn't that bad either. They have Chen creeps with the mech. They have, of course, the minus armor from the goo from Ferrari. But I do believe they have no medallion themselves, so it might not be the easiest task. As we're
no
see,
medallion yet.
Still a crazy fight there.
Yeah, I felt like IG were completely baited into this idea that, oh, look at these 4-9 Cloud9 members. They're grouped up in the river. That's such a bad position to be in. Let's go ahead and have Ferrari push forward. If they go on him, they're going to be in a really bad position for all our AoE. But they also then get lured into the same exact choke point, which is the river, where Fada's able to make that blink in from behind, a huge Sonic Wave, which essentially wins the whole entire fight for Cloud9. Now, IG are still going to try and get aggressive here. Again, you said the Ravage is down. They utilize this opportunity to get the tier 1 tower while we have Fada pushing in top, but can they actually get Roshan in time?
I think they're going to try for it. Cloud9 are already pinging it out, but there's a Crimson Guard on this Bristleback, and they have the mech on Chen. Hand of God and 20 might not be up for this fight, though. Could be a pretty big deal, and Luo needs to be careful not to tank this too much.
At the same time,
they're actually going to use the Guard now. Very surprising.
Luo with a nice cogs block there, but he almost died from that. Luo will get a send back home, and they do claim that Aegis. Cloud9 do have the Ravage up here in just 4 seconds. Doesn't look like they want to take the fight. In fact, it's Ferrari who starts aggressively pushing forward, hoping to bait Cloud9 to go on to him. And sure enough, they do a bit of damage, but not a full commitment. IG back away, 1 Aegis richer.
Yeah, they're pretty much... They pretty much evened the game up there. This is not a 3-8 game, in my opinion. They took the tier 1 tower, they took the Roche. So I think the gold graph hasn't updated yet. I believe there was a little bit more of a swing. And regardless, if you look over the key items here, I just think this Crimson Guard on Bristle is so mad value right now for IG. Maybe we'll lose a tower though. Oh, good glyph timing. Perhaps they can get a deny out of this. I'm not sure if Cloud9 want to try to commit for it. Oh, they get it.
Yeah, they will be able to take it. Ferrari actually pops the Invis room, but Eternal Envy's still going to take a good amount of damage away from him. IG won't give up a tier 2, it seems like. There's no way that's possible. In fact, did he just trap him? Nope, Big Daddy's away. He's fine, he's fine. Ooh, I thought with the way that Big Daddy just stopped moving, I thought he was stuck there. But I mean, just constantly watching the way Big Daddy is utilizing his familiars, he seems to always have that clockwork hook blocked.
Yeah, he is doing a really, really good job with the Visage in this game. Pretty much can't put a finger on any single decision he's made. His laning play was good. I believe was he first blooded in that lane? I think so, but maybe you can fault him for that, but the rest of his plays have just been perfectly on point.
All right, we got a big item choice to talk about here. Fada going in for the full Scythe of Vice. Now, we had a conversation where it's like, is this really going to be an Ags game for the Queen of Pain? Should you have gone the Orchid? It felt like it just wasn't a good item either way. Though, guess the other item choice is straight Scythe of Vice, but it's so rare to see that. I'm sure Nahaz has got some stats on it, but this is ultra rare to see such a late game item picked up as your first bit. What are your thoughts?
It's a way for them to be able to just control the gyro for now. He gets it before the gyro's BKB. So if you compare that to an Orchid, of course this BKB will inevitably come out in a few minutes for burning, but they can initiate onto the gyro and kill him off, and then they can just kite the Bristle, as we've seen in a couple of fights beforehand, where their single target slow are actually doing a lot of work. And I think Fata just looked at his farm, like he was getting super rich, and like, I can be ambitious in this game and go for a really big item, because sure, it's nice for fighting, but of course the Scythe is also a decent farming item, 150% mana regen, just like Yule's, and just provides more possibilities for him in fights to play around with.
Yeah, possibility just like this,
burning.
where Birdie does get scattered out inside of the trees. Now Fada turns around everything he has, but the blink away just ahead of that hook shot. My God, Fada is pulling it today, man. Cloud9, off of the back of Fada, have managed to secure themselves a pretty good hold on this game. It's 3-8, 28 minutes in. That Aegis is going to go down in 2 minutes, and it feels like once that Aegis is down, Cloud9 will try and push the advantage. They've got a Blink Dagger on Tidehunter, the mech as well is there. We've got Razor with the drums, not as much farm on Eternal Envy as you would kind of hope at this point. But other than that, I think the Tidehunter and the Queen of Pain are going to make up for that loss.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see which direction Envy goes with his item build here. Of course, Cloud9 will have to break the base at some point, and they're going to need some key items, right? Maybe the Axe Razor is a good build in this game. Perhaps they get a Solar Crest just so he can go in with the ult reliably and not get countered out too hard. No-Tail, of course, already has the Medallion, so he needs to make the decision between Ags and Solar Crest, which, until Crest was there, it was like Visage build up the same 90% of games. Medallion into Ags.
Right.
Nowadays, the Crest can actually be a better choice than the Ags in a lot of cases, especially when you're against Flak Cannon, where you can say, how useful is the third bird really going to be if it gets flaked down? And
there is a key item on Razor that you haven't mentioned, and it's simply because it doesn't have a whole lot of value for this game, right? BKB is a very common pickup for Razor. It's just not enough magic damage, right?
I don't think it is good enough this game.
Yeah.
If they wanted to go for a defensive item on Envy, he could technically get a Force Staff against the clock, but I think they're going to let the supports do it. We see it picked up on Pugna right now. I'm imagining Tide will get his after the Blink Dagger he picked up recently, and they will work around it that way. And by the way, sorry to sound like a broken record, but this would also have been a good co-op game for Book, right? Like, you're looking at it. You're looking at IG's heroes. Bristleback hates being mana burned. It really ruins him. He quill sprays. He can't keep them running. If he manages somehow to get the mana in, he will take the last will. Same for Gyro. The similar kind of problem. And I don't feel like IG had the right tools to deal with a fast Necro 3 on Fata. And I think Cloud9 might have missed an opportunity to just take all tier 2s with that Book and take full map control and D-ward. So I like the Scythe. I think it's really cool to see it picked up. I do, however, think Book would have probably been the absolute best choice this game.
All right. right, we do have a 3-man smoke up here from Cloud9, making a rotation through the jungle. Unfortunately, doesn't seem like they're going to find anything. Well, they find Chen's creeps, and they'll take those away from them, but not a hero pickoff that they were really searching for. Let's talk about this point booster, though. Fada, normally, if you're going to go Aghanims, you try and go for it first item. You don't like later Aghanims because Aghanims is basically increases your farming speed as Queen of Pain, right? Is he still going for that Aghanims, or is this the value point booster? What are we seeing?
I'm wondering if he wants to become a core and is actually thinking Scotty.
I was gonna ask, but it felt a little weird. I mean, with the Scythe device already picked up, he does have a decent amount of right-click damage already, right?
It's just possible that they think ahead and they're like, okay, we're going to need to siege the base at some point. And he could solve their problem by transitioning into like an actual semi-carry build where when he does the Hex build-up, it's actually going to be, he's going to reach the physical damage peak faster and have a pretty decent amount of armor as well. Of course, like the Scythe, the 10 agility. Of course, it's 1.5 armor, but everything adds up. Of course, it gives some stats too, the health from the strength. And if he gets a Scotty too, he's very tanky. And there's not that much lockdown on IG that can control him. So he could go Scotty into a really hard-hitting damage item and just lay into the gyro. I think that could definitely work for this game. And since he didn't go for a pushing build, I feel like it's going to honestly be necessary for them to be able to reach high ground.
Yeah, and even like the supporting items that are coming in from Cloud9 kind of back up this idea. Eternal Envy seems like it's going to be going for the Assault Cuirass as his first real big item. He doesn't have nearly as much net worth as the Bristleback or the Queen of Pain. It seems like almost Fada is like, okay, you're a little bit farther behind. Let me take over that right-click build. And, you know, AC is still very valuable on Razor. No one's going to deny that. But it will help out a right-click build from the Queen of Pain as well. Now, we're going to have a jump forward here, Fada. He does have that side device, but Ferrari has this nice golden shiny item, BKB, and the first charge already being used to get out.
Yeah, he makes a good decision there to BKB TP. If he holds that a little bit longer, Fata will go for the Hex. And then even if he BKBs a little bit later, the birds might be on top of him with Medallion, and perhaps the physical damage would have been too much to sustain. So playing it safe, getting some information out of it here with the rotations of Cloud9, and they're going to immediately use this to try to go for a play of their own. However, Ferrari's a little bit behind here, and this could happen too early for their own good.
Luo's going to need to play this very well. He does get the hook shot. Fada, he's going to be telekinesis back, and they instantly blow him up. Not before Faith steals Blink, though, and this is going to offer a swarm of opportunities for IG. But which one do they take? It looks like perhaps a top lane push for that tier 1 tower, or maybe just spread out and farm.
I would say top tier 1 is a pretty reasonable play right now. Maybe if you don't go for the tower in its entire, well, it's really low. So I think you could definitely do that. But else they could just force Cloud9 to play defensively up there. And it looks like they're just going to play it safe for now and get a little bit more farm, as Burning is... He was not having the best early game. We talked about his farm, but he's looking pretty good. I think IG are fairly happy with the situation. Even if they could see the graphs, they wouldn't feel like this 3K lead is that big of a problem.
Yeah. Luo, unfortunately, just a few seconds away from being able to hook shot.
They're going for it, after all.
Yeah, there it is. Ferrari making the full commitment here. The birds are coming in through the side. Burning pops his BKB and will TP out. And if necessary, Ferrari will do the same. But it doesn't look like it's going to be forced unless Fada makes a very aggressive blink forward here in 2 seconds.
They can't get him.
But even then, yeah. I mean, if he leads with a side device, there's just no follow-up in time. The best they can hope for is Ferrari feels it's a little bit too dangerous and pops his BKB and TPs away.
That's what Fata was going for. Yeah. He knew that his team was not going to catch up to that Hex, but if he could have baited that out, that would have been decent.
Yeah.
Oh, he really wants to Sonic Wave this, I think. But nah, he doesn't have a Hex, so.
All right, so that tier 1 tower bottom lane may end up going down as well. The rotations are coming out, so seems like it will be saved. IG are not making a full commitment for it, especially with the BKB on cooldown of the gyrocopter. Probably a wise decision. Wait for Ferrari to get here first. Now with Ferrari on the front lines, they'll feel a lot more comfortable pushing forward and grabbing a tower to try and help even up that gold lead that Cloud9 was holding on to.
Oh, this is a big item too. Faith is, I feel like Faith as of late for IG is just getting more farm.
Yeah.
Like just flat out getting more items and is given more priority, and I can only agree with this. I think one of the problems IG have had in the past is that they've sacrificed him way too much, but he's starting to get quite a few items. This is a position 5 Rubik. Sure, it's not the fastest blink in the world, minute 28, but he also has Arcanes and Urn to boot. And in the past, we would see Faith in this kind of games get like minute 40 blink dagger. Of course, some of it can be attributed to the patch change where lowest net worth gets most out of kills, but he's only getting 3 kills, so I don't know if it's all down to that. I think it's just finding more creep kills as well.
A lot of people have theory crafted about it, but do you think this is actually just because the new patch is more support oriented with all these interesting items like Glimmer Cape being introduced?
It's both that and the fact that, of course, creeps are worth less overall. So carries will not get ahead as fast, and that means supports in turn do not get irrelevant as fast. Or they never get irrelevant, right? But
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They get weaker at a slower pace, even with the same farm as in the past. So
so basically they're more relevant in the mid game because carries aren't so far ahead.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so Cloud9 still staying grouped up. There's that Assault Cuirass that we mentioned earlier on Eternal Envy. We still have yet to see where our Queen of Pain is going with his items, I believe.
Envy's really far up here. He's trying to force a reaction. Nothing happens. So Queen of Pain, yeah. Let's see. Fata hasn't bought his next item yet.
Yeah, we should see it next 1,000 gold. If he hits 3K and he doesn't buy his items, it seems to kind of signify that we're going to be going for that right-click Scotty build. But we'll see. Burning. Whoa, that's a quick BKB. Of course, he knows he's dealing with a Scythe of Ice and didn't know it was just a Queen of Pain. So, meanwhile, Lou in the bottom lane, he pops a Blade Mail Misery, doesn't really care. Plus, the body blocking from Bone 7 is beautiful. And they managed to find that pick off, 4-9.
How good is Octarine on Tide? I feel like this is an unusual build. It provides him with the mana pool to get Refresher later.
Yeah.
But I still think you could just do that with the Arcane Boots build-up with maybe like any sort of casual item that just gives you a bit of int.
Yeah.
How good is the Octarine? Like, the cooldown reduction feels like it's only really relevant for Ravage. It's always great, but gosh, 12-9, how important is that? Anchor Smash, 4-3. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he will get a significant amount of tankiness out of this item, not only through just the regular stats, but also because of the spell steal that you're going to be able to get it. The Anchor Smash, even though it's physical damage, does give you that extra bit of life. But do you think that he's actually going to be able to get that much value? I mean, 3-second Anchor Smash, it feels like if he's not targeted in a fight, he could actually do a lot more potentially with Octarine Core rather than that Refresher. It's just not as impressive, right? I mean, the potential, 10-man Ravage, 2 5-man Ravages in a row is such a bigger team fight opportunity than just a spam out of Octarine Core.
And in addition to that, you need to obviously consider that Octarine also lowers the cooldown of inventory items, but he doesn't really have that much that it synergizes with. It's good with Blink, having that on 9, but the lower cooldown mech actually does nothing, because you still can't be affected by it twice until the original effect waivers. So you don't really get much out of it. Low cooldown and TP scroll, always nice, but
I feel like
I'm not sure.
I feel like this item is just kind of okay for now, but I think we're going to see a lot of value out of it when we start going later, which it seems like this game is going to go late, when we do have that Refresher. And then we've got Octarine and Refresher combined up, and that item will obviously have so much more value then.
That's why I'm thinking, what if he got, let's say, Arcane Boots into Refresher, and then, or just not go for the Refresher, but go for other utility items. Say you get Yules and Hex, and then the Octarine, because then you have so many inventory items that really benefit from the cooldown reduction that it starts making a big difference.
Or
Sonic
what about
Wave? Right. So he did get the Axe, by the way. Did you mention that? Oh, I was like, okay, he has to drop that ult.
Bottom lane. Lul does find himself a fish here. He's got Bone 7 locked inside the cogs. The ultimate does go out. Bone 7's going to try and turn this one. The heal from Misery is not enough, though. And the TP's out, burning with the BKB pop once again defensively. And the blink away by Faith. Looks like he should survive. He's got another blink in 6 seconds, and Cloud9 are not going to be able to catch up to him. So nice pick off, forced to Ravage as well. Are IG really going to be able to take an opportunity out of that one with the Ravage down? It seems like IG are perfectly fine with just farming, so I doubt they're going to 5-man push.
Oh, Ferrari's pinging the top 2 too.
Okay.
I think he might just want to push it alone. It doesn't look like his team is interested in joining this right now, but
yeah.
I think when Ravage is down, they're just flat out stronger. Like, then I believe they could go for it. Gyro now finishing an MKB as well. Burning is flying out right now.
Oh yeah, that's a big upgrade.
I actually think the best play is to grab this tower now, because I don't think Cloud9 want to fight. But even if they don't, as long as they're just farming the same or more than Cloud9, after they've closed this entire 4,000 gold cap, or gold lead at this point, the gap is entirely closed now. I think they're all right with just farming too.
Okay. So we're going to be going late game here, it feels like. It doesn't look like this game is going to end in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Who do you really value more? Is it Cloud9 because they've got a Tidehunter who potentially can do so much more than the Clockwork, or do you really value the Gyrocopter carry?
It's just going to be, I think Cloud9's super late game hopes rely on double Ravage, and with this build-up, it's going to take very long to get it. So because of that, I do favor IG. They do have, of course, both Bristle and Gyro as physical damage carries, and you're looking into C9, you have like an anti-carry in Razor, if you will, and then you have the Quap, who is also building more or less to be an anti-carry here with the Hex build-up, so he's just going to BKB TP. They're at least forcing these out every single time, so he's down to, I think, 7, is that? 8. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a pretty heavy rotation, though, still, from Cloud9. They're going to try and go for that Tier 2 tower in the top lane because Burning is already taking the Tier 2 at bottom. So BKB charge used, they get what could be a trade-off. In fact, they're going to go even for more. They know this Tier 2 is going to take a while for Burning to take it, so maybe they can get some damage on that Tier 3 before he TPs back to defend.
It's going to be very little, but they are going for it. They still don't have Ravage, but they might just try to fake that they do. It's cutting close now, so if IG didn't time it perfectly, they would not be aware. And, well, at this point it is up, so Cloud9 really playing aggressively here. I'm surprised IG are letting them do this. They're actually getting the whole tower.
They really are. There's still no initiation from Luo, who's sitting on the side here, ready to go. Ferrari is going to have some of his damage stolen away by Eternal Envy. His ultimate already used. The Eye of the Storm looks like they're making a full commitment here for this melee rack. Inside the Vice. Oh, Burning in some serious trouble. There goes the double ultimate, and Burning does fall. And he does not have a buyback, but what a cogs there. Luo traps in too. Can they actually take advantage of it? Fada finally goes down. Faith is out. IG may actually just lost this game entirely from one fight. 3 heroes down. Only one of them has buyback. There goes the melee racks as well as the range. And Cloud9, just one laner for Axe. When it comes down to it, is huge. When this game felt so even. Uh-oh. Eternal Envy's just been spotted out. The telekinesis stopped his TP out. But he's good. He actually has the movement speed to keep himself ahead. Ferrari is way up far forward. Side the bias going on to him. Misery's being brought quite low. Eternal Envy turns around for that damage steal, but maybe he's just put himself in some serious danger. He's going to turn, fight up against Burning. There goes that Sonic Wave. They get a carry for a carry with Misery on the side for IG, but Luo's still going to go down. He cogs back Fada. They lose Misery, but Ferrari's trapped inside the trees. His only way out is through Fada, and he will blink himself away. Doesn't look like he's going to try and fight this, as he backs himself away through the river, and Ferrari will back out successfully. But that was a huge loss for IG. I mean, this game was super easy, super even, and then one quick play, Cloud9 all of a sudden have a full lane of Rax advantage.
They got so much out of that Aegis on Fata. It looked like IG really weren't interested in trying to fight them, and they simply just waited too long. They started engaging, and they barely even did any sort of poke damage before they engaged into the fight, so that was really surprising. I think Ferrari playing that a little bit too conservatively with his bristleback, and then ultimately Burning's like, okay, we have to do something, and then he goes too aggressive with the gyro, gets hexed and brought down, no buyback. They did not have the send back on Chen in position, and Cloud9 just capitalized in a big way there, getting full lane of racks, 7,500 gold off that one fight, 5k experience swing, and this is all they needed. Now I feel like they're definitely in the driver's seat to go and take a second lane with the next Roche, and wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if Cloud9 end up winning this game, it's got to be that fight right there that gave them the advantage necessary to close out the game. It's just such a huge swing. And there's the refresher from Fada, Bone 7 with the Octarine core, and 1,000 gold on top of that. Aghanims on Razor. I mean, just item after item flowing in for Cloud9 after that fight. And it seems like they feel content to try and maybe force another one here in the middle lane. Eternal Envy is very far forward here, but he knows the rest of his allies are going to be coming in. Luo with the first initiation. There goes the Force Staff. In order to get Luo outside of those cogs, and Eternal Envy will end up going down. Misery couldn't save him with any sort of heal. They get two real quickly. The Sonic Wave from the side from Fada. He does have another one, but IG, now the Ravage going up. They're going to try burst down Burning, and they're successful. Now Ferrari is even side the Vice up and down to half HP. The send back from Chen looks to be successful, but Luo will just barely be able to TP out. Chuan, not so lucky. Double kill for Fada. And they end up evening out that 2 for 2, but it cost them their refresher and their Ravage.
I'm not sure that's good enough for Cloud9 in that fight. I don't think they're happy with that. Committing that many abilities, the title, the refresher from Quap to kill the Gyro and the Chen, they essentially evened out the fight.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if they do get this tier 2, it might just be just good enough for them to be satisfied. I'm not sure if they're going to get it. They need to be careful that Fata doesn't get caught out now. There's still the threat of the Rubik.
Whoa, that hook shot and the missing. Bone7, lucky he wasn't initiated on, and now they're going to be able to grab Fata here. Telekinesis, pull back. He's got another blink away, though. Turn around, Sonic Wave, just to make sure IG do not pursue. Bone7 even blinking in, trying to slow down Lilo for the birds, but in the end, IG do successfully defend their tier 2 tower, so it seems not really worth it for Cloud9. I personally felt like Cloud9, with all those items coming in, that they should have easily been able to take the tier 2 and could have at least locked IG inside their base. I'm not sure if they would have wanted to push uphill, probably wait out Roshan and that Aegis, but I think IG just wouldn't have fought around that tier 2. It kind of would have felt like too risky at that point.
Yeah, the good news for Cloud9 is that they got the perfect spawn time on Roche, more or less. This could have been risky if IG could have tried to go for a fight and a Roche sneak right now. But he's going to respawn when they have everything ready again. Ravage, double Sonic Wave. It's in 90 seconds for Fata. Look at that timing. He's got it 4 seconds after the respawn of Roche. He will have the double. So that's completely perfect for C9. And most likely, they will actually even be able to grab the Roshan themselves, because they have a really good Roshan lineup between the Visage now, of course, with triple birds and the Medallion. Tide can tank it for free. They can just poke it down over time, and IG will have to contest. They cannot give away another Roche. I really don't think so.
Despite that last fight going okay for IG, I'm kind of in the position where I don't feel like they can actually give up an Aegis, particularly if it goes on Eternal Envy. There was that change-up, right, where now with the Aegis, Eye of the Storm still stays up, right? Even when you're dead, you come back, Eye of the Storm is still there, especially since he's got the Aghanims upgrade. That's a pretty big factor.
I still believe they would put the Aegis on Fata, though.
Oh, okay.
Just so he can play really aggressively and make sure he gets a lot of use out of his Refresher Orb. Because the moment Fata blinks in and hexes someone, it forces a fight. Like, you can't ignore that. They will just follow through and open. And the usual counterplay would be, okay, the Quap blinked on top of us, let's Rubik lift and try to burst him down with everything we've got, call down, use our BKBs. But if he can force 2 BKBs with an Aegis, great. That's good enough. He can die for that, and they will be able to take a lane of racks off that alone.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I was thinking, Eternal Envy kind of being that one guy in the front lines with the Aegis and taking down that tower. But as you said, if you make that initiation on Fata, it forces the fight entirely. And so having an Aegis on him, it feels like it's going to be way more valuable. What's also going to be quite valuable, Bone7, 3K gold, is closing in on that refresher. We remarked that's going to be an added benefit to the Octarine core, which he already has.
Look at this Roche just going down. I really don't think IG can afford to give this away, but they don't even have time to react before it's gone. Let's see, they will give it to Fata.
Yep. And the cheese goes over to Eternal Envy.
Yeah, that might be the better way of doing it. I don't think they have as high of a chance as just one-shot bursting Envy as Fata.
Right.
Envy has 18 more armor right now with the AC, so he's more likely to be able to pop that cheese when he's low. And now an Ags on Pugna as well.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge benefit. As a support Pugna, once you get that Aghanims, that just means you sit way off in the back and you constantly heal up that frontliner, which should be the Razor.
And I think we've seen Misery do it once or twice this game, the defensive heal from Life Drain. It's going to be pretty difficult being IG right now. I'm not sure how they need to engage this fight. If they can bait out 1 or 2 key ultimates from C9 and not get blown up in the process, that's probably what they're looking for, but never mind that. Let's go in, says Envy.
Yeah, Ferrari puts himself on the front line to be the target. Eternal Envy, though, has stolen already 168 damage and will turn that damage right into the Tier 3 tower. Glyph is popped for the time being. Eternal Envy does get stunned up by the rocket. Tier 3 tower is going to be falling soon. Ferrari again trying to draw that damage. Waiting for the initiation. There it is on Burning. He's already down and out. Ferrari turns to fight up against Eternal Envy and using his damage, but the AC is actually helping keeping Eternal Envy alive, and now he's damage draining him away. There goes another ultimate. Burning is going to fall a secondary time. 90 seconds on the clock for our carry from IG. The rest of them trying to back away to the fountain. Fata, ooh, nice TP back just in time, but Ferrari, can he get out? It doesn't even matter. IG say GG. And we're going to a game 3.
That one fight and base push top just snowballed C9 super fast in this game. After it looked like it was going to be, we thought it was going to be a longer game.
Yeah.
We thought that if IG got a couple of more key items and got the farm, they would be able to do it. But those key pickoffs on Burning in quick succession here really just, he got shut down hard this game. Fata finds the openings with the scythe every single time and really had a huge impact in this game with his Queen of Pain. Gets the refresher at a good timing too. The supporting cast of Cloud9 this time around, No Tail played a phenomenal game, and